if I may, I will kick off. I'm Ian Gray. I'm chairman of the Egyptian-British Chamber of Commerce. I'm really pleased that we're having this discussion today about knowledge transfer in the agricultural industry. I mean, the UK sees itself very much as a knowledge hub, but I think knowledge can travel in both directions, and clearly with the vast extents of agriculture in Egypt, there may be things that we can learn both ways, which will come out of this discussion. This morning we're going to have, on a panel, we're going to have Dr. Nicola Cannon, who is the Associate Professor of Agriculture from the Royal Agricultural University, which is Cirencester, I think, if I'm correct. So I have a base out in the country, so I keep hearing the farming friends all saying, oh, well, the kids are going to go to Cirencester. That appears to be the place where they certainly go. We've got Roger Vickers, who is the Chief Exec of the Processors and Growers Research Organisation. So Roger, thank you for turning up as well. We have Iman Kamal, who is the Executive Director of the Horticultural Export Improvement Association. And Iman, I would assume that you are in Cairo today. You are, so thank you for coming. And we also have Helmi Issa, who is the Chief Exec of Nadet Nasr for Agro Industries. Nadet Nasr is a long-term friend of the Chamber, with basically, I think Ali Issa is would he be your chairman in your business?
Until last year.
Until last year, okay. So Ali Issa is the deputy chairman for us on the Chamber, and has been a friend to the Chamber for more years than I've been a member. So we're grateful for that. So it's going to be interesting to hear your insight from operating business. We're also fortunate that we've got Karim Assad today. So Karim is CEO of Kimpex International, which I think is also Brooks and Kempton in the UK.
Exactly.
So Karim, you're moderating this. Can I just, on a housekeeping point, Karim those who want to ask questions and things, this is on Zoom as a meeting, so it's the chat button at the bottom of the page as opposed to Q&A. Otherwise, please, I'm going to hand over to you, Karim, to run today's session. But thank you all for coming. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and we'll start our session. First of all, it's a side session from the UK-Egypt Partnership for the Promotion of Sustainable Manufacturing in Africa, with a breakout session in the agriculture industry. I would like to thank everybody, first of all, the Egyptian-British Chamber of Commerce, the British-Egyptian Business Association, and the sponsors, the Cairo Regional Center of International Arbitration, Commercial Arbitration and Export Credit Guarantee in Egypt. The scope of today, how to explore the UK companies can best take advantage of Egypt as a hub in the region, location as a gateway in Africa, integrated agriculture industrial sector. It's always good to mention that UK is a real partner and one major investor in the Egyptian market in various fields, not just the agriculture, like other fields like petroleum fields, which is very huge investment. Egypt share industry expertise, agriculture expertise with African nations, and definitely would like to have the benefit of today getting the UK experience and expertise in this regard. How we can talk today about UK companies can give the support of development in this sector to the Egyptian side and to the African side. Resources are very limited right now in Egypt, especially for the, if we're talking about the water. So with the opinion and experience of the participants today, they would highlight on this. food safety certifications, research centers like the PGRO. All of these research and developments would leverage the industry and help the support in this regard. We'll start with Dr. Nicola Cannon, one of the associate professors of Agriculture, Royal Agricultural University, and she has a big experience, huge experience in plant sciences, associate professor of agriculture in the Royal Agricultural University. With her researches, with her studies, and huge background, we would like to start with her giving us the benefit of knowledge transfer of agriculture industry from UK to Egypt, African continent, for the mutual benefit for all sides. We can start with you, Dr. Nicola.
Thank you very much, and thank you for this opportunity. And I just want to say that since the Royal Agricultural College was formed in 1845, agriculture has, Africa and African agriculture has been a big part of our heritage, and internationalism is a key strand in everything we do. And you can see in this picture here of outside our beautiful campus, some of our African fellowship students and various projects that we've been involved in over Africa. These are just ones I've been involved in. But as mentioned in the openings words, knowledge transfer is also a really important part of what we do. And every research project that we have involved in, one of our strengths is that we work with farmers wherever they are to embed this in what they do. And we try to get farmers involved in small groups in what we know as knowledge exchange events to feel and touch and understand what agricultural research means and get them out in the field so that we can empower them to take on change. And we do this through working with a range of companies and sponsors and groups that help us disseminate information. So from groups like Innovative Farmers, Agroecology, also with European funded projects, that was a non-chemical weed control futures project, and many partners. And one of our big sectors, and one that I've been involved in a lot, is with the organic sector about certification and ensuring quality standards as well for production and importation of goods. So now getting into some of our research projects, I just picked out a few that I thought would be interesting to you. This is one we had on faba bean, and we know that the British-Egyptian relationship on faba bean is the famous one, really. And this guy here, Donwell, he's from Malawi, working on this project. And the key component is that by cropping, so growing two crops in the same field at the same time, you can help combat weeds, pests and diseases. And we found in multiple studies, so this picture here is of lupins, and this is wheat, but we also did lupins triticale, and this was run by a lady from Cameroon, that we can increase the land use efficiency, so get greater yields off, improve water use efficiency, improve light interception, and help control weeds. And we've translated this into some projects abroad, and this is a maize cowpea intercropping, and linking these with different crop establishment techniques, which has been a key theme. And this guy he's another Cameroon person involved in this project as well. Another ongoing project I've got at the moment is with Sejan, who's from China, and we're looking at detecting weeds in wheat using drone satellite images, but we've had to get to a much smaller scale than that because detecting grass weeds in a grass crop, so both species being gramineae, it's really difficult to pick up those changes, and we're doing computer aided learning where he's using different filters on the camera, so RGBs, depth sensors, multispectral and things like that, to work out how we can best
normalize the timing.
pick up the differences in here, and you can see we can identify trash and crop, and also the weeds. So these are weeds, and we've refined this even further since there, where we can pick out these differences, and we're doing that with the University of Bath. This is one of my favourite experiments, which translates very well into the African continent, and I've had many African students work on it, where it's a long-term experiment. We've had 10 harvests, and it's fully replicated, and we're looking at the effect of direct drilling, min-till and plough on crop yields, weed competition, but also on the soil physical and chemical factors to see how it alters the soil in the long run. And we, as I said, use lots of techniques such as drones, satellites, as well as plant sampling and green area analysis. And we've taken this further to a very topical area at the moment of soil health. And we know that declining soil organic matter and loss of life within soil is a big factor in impacting agricultural productivity. And this student here, Yolanda, who's actually from South Africa, there is doing earthworm counts. We've got here tall green funnels, which are used for extracting soil microfauna. And we've got bulk density nematodes, and there's me doing some penetrometer readings. So we're evaluating how all these factors link together to produce a healthy environment to grow crops in, and hoping to work that we have sustainable agricultural systems all the time. Just another project that we had lots of farmer involvement with was mechanical weeding, trying to move away from chemical solutions to solutions that don't suffer from issues of contamination, and can hopefully carry on. And here we've got camera guided weeders and some of the successes, and talking about farmers with some of the challenges, because there is no silver bullet to these systems. We have to understand how different conditions make these interact. And just to say, where we have a big involvement with African students is on our MSc in Sustainable Agriculture and Food Security, which I'm programme manager of, and a fantastic range of courses that they study down here and electives, with lots of case study work and research and exciting research projects they often take back into their own countries, a lot about food security, and different cropping and things like that. And just as a very exciting thing, as that we've for this year got what's known as the Great Scholarships, and Egypt is one of our partner countries in this, one of only 6 partner countries, where we are the British Council are funding an Egyptian student to come and study this master's at the UK, but there's many opportunities as well with other things such as chevening. So just to round up, I'd like to say there's lots of ways that we can link to Egypt, and we're excited with the idea of working with Egypt, addressing the same sustainability issues that exist around the world and over the continent of Africa. And as well as my own research projects that I've worked on, we've got a team of researchers and educators at the RAU who are involved in animal welfare. This is an archaeology project down in Tanzania. Entrepreneurship, soil management, conservation, soil contamination, you know, obviously a big challenge in certain areas. Agronomy, and you can see some of the projects where we've been working with people about soil cover, trying to change the way of cultivating land and things like that. So thank you very much for this opportunity to share our work, and I've just put my contact details up there for you. I shall finish sharing my screen now.
Thank you, Nicola, and we will come back to you for any questions or comments. Secondly, we would like to start with the Roger Viggers, the Chief Executive Processes and Growers Research Organization, named PGRO. He's the CEO of this organization, and he has a huge experience in the agriculture of plant science, and combinable and horticulture crops. Definitely with the research center specialized to serve the farmers, serve the farming sector in UK. I rely on Roger that he would give us some support and advice, especially if we're going to talk about the nitrogen effect on the soil or the benefit on the soil, the best utilization to promote and support farmers planting beans in Egypt. Especially Egypt is like 400 to 500, or even in some years 700,000 metric ton importer of fava beans. 25% minimum comes from the UK. So we'll go with Roger in this session, and wish you all the best.
Good afternoon, everybody. Just 5 minutes from me on perhaps to explain first what the PGRO is. A very niche and unique organisation in the UK and probably in Europe. But I feel, thank you, Kareem, for that extensive introduction, that we perhaps have got something to offer in terms of guidance on how knowledge transfer and development of crops and agriculture can take place in other areas. A little history about the organisation. It was formed in its current form in 1956, but actually originated earlier than that, shortly after the Second World War, when a group of innovative, forward-thinking growers realised that they didn't know enough about pea production. They were busy growing, but were desperately looking around for ideas as to how to improve crop production, and no one was there to provide it. So they clubbed together to form their own organisation, and pretty much it's stayed like that ever since. We are a charity with a unique position in UK agriculture, and the sort of infographic on the right-hand side attempts to show our place within UK agriculture relative to all of the other organisations that you may or may not have heard there. And if you start right at the top, imagining the blue sky with the universities and fundamental research institutes, government, etc., coming down to the brown at the bottom where the growers are very firmly planted, we are formed from the growers for the growers, and we reach out through agronomists and suppliers up into the more fundamental areas of research to drag that applied knowledge, or take that knowledge and apply it and give it to the growers so that they can improve their lot for the future. The organisation turns over very approximately 1.2, 1.3 million pounds a year, and a big part of that funding comes from growers themselves, approximately 50%, through voluntary levy along the theme that originally founded the organisation. And the rest of our funds comes either from public money through research grants for applied crop research, or through us selling our skills and services to the supply chain to people who are looking for independent, reliable validation of their products in the supply chain. We do that work confidentially, of course, and then if anybody wants to use that data, then they can attribute our names to it, which you will see that occasionally in the press. So the issues for the future, as I see them, is that legumes are niche crops. They're niche crops pretty much around the world, but they are, because of that, they are massively underinvested. They are hugely important nationally for almost every country, but because there is perceived to be very little value in relative terms compared to other crops, commercial businesses have in the past chosen to invest less in them, which means the state of the art in terms of knowledge is somewhere behind some of the more advanced crops, for example, maize and wheat. And because of that, grower funding is also restricted. And it's a kind of virtuous circle. The less that is invested, the less the progression in the knowledge gain, the less the ability to utilize them in general agriculture, so the less their interest from the growers, and down the spiral goes. So there's lots of blocks in the chain which really need to be lifted. And PGRO in the UK fights valiantly to try and change that aspect and to deliver knowledge through knowledge transfer activities. And Nicola mentioned knowledge transfer extensively, and our host also mentioned knowledge transfer, but it's really an exchange of knowledge. So it's two-way communication between the growers and the scientists, using our own small plot trials, but also using growers' field trials on a commercial scale to get a better understanding of what is happening with the crop and how we can improve it. We collaborate enormously. Without collaboration, we are essentially nothing, and we do that both in the UK and internationally. And because we are receiving money from growers, we are very, very focused on delivering what they will perceive as value for money. So we need to be targeting clear and quite narrow and sometimes objectives so that we can deliver knowledge to the growers. And for that reason, we have a 6-point strategy, which is visible on our website with regard to our R&D. The capabilities that we have vary enormously, from molecular diagnosis in our molecular laboratory, we have one molecular scientist, right through to what might be called common field trials, which I'm sure you're all familiar with, and the sort of thing that Nicola showed in images. I could also fill the slide with similar pictures. The knowledge transfer and exchange that we conduct is pretty much in all areas that you can imagine, from site visits, field visits, farmer talks, merchant talks, agronomy, advice to agronomists, open days, online support, telephone support, publications, magazines in-house, and obviously focusing on the journals, the agricultural journals in the UK. But everything has to be relevant. And the purpose of everything that we do is taking science and putting it into practice, giving tools for the trade to the growers. And you can see those in some of our forecasting services and agronomy tools that we promote. The priorities that I mentioned are yield, soil health, crop nutrition, the environment, and sustainability. And there is a focus on technology and giving UK growers competitive advantage. We see a future in remote sensing, robotics, aerial assessments, and drones. But the key to our sustainability as an organisation is to maintain the funding stream. So we need the crops in the UK to be successful, so that the voluntary levy that growers pay is easy to realise. And we also need support in that we need access to grant money and continued interest from the supply chain and growers, commercial companies wanting to have their products investigated or validated. So in summary, we are a reputable organisation with a long history and record. We've got an outward-looking viewpoint. There's a few logos on the right-hand side of the many collaborators that we work with. And we're a strong self-funded charity committed to applied crop research and knowledge transfer. Where I see the opportunity with Egypt and Africa, having talked with Karim, is that whilst we're not selling anything, we have here a model that works. It's worked for a long time, and there is no reason that I can see why this model shouldn't apply in other countries, starting with growers supporting growers, finding out what they want for their own benefit, and setting up an organisation that works directly on their behalf. And if there's any way that we can help perhaps shape or give advice or work with somebody that is looking to do that, then we would be quite happy to get involved. But again, our main focus is the UK agriculture and UK growers. So if we were to do that, we would need supporting specifically to do it. And I think that probably is as much time as I would dare to take from you, and leave it there for any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Roger. Thank you very much. It was very good presentation from you and very useful. We can see the collaboration parties with the PGRO. That means it's the right successful model that, as you explained, we can repeat it back again back in Egypt. We'll come back to you for any questions, and we'll start with Iman Kamil, Executive Director, Horticulture Export Improvement Association, HEA. Iman has like 20 years of global manufacturing and marketing experience for food processing business, and currently as an executive director for the Horticulture Export Improvement Association. She led the transformation of Upper Egypt small farmers from fragmented farmers to grouping them to forming association, which I've expressed. I'm very fond of this idea. I look forward that she emphasize on it, and we'll start to let her speak about this experience in regard of the knowledge transfer agriculture industry. And you can go ahead, Iman. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Karim. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I will be talking about the Horticulture Export Improvement Association. The HEA, we call it HEA. It was established in 1996 as a non-governmental organization, aiming at the transfer and exchange of international good agriculture and logistic practices from Europe, from USA, Africa to the Egyptian agri community, to increase agri-exports, boost farmers' income and create jobs. Now HEA has almost 700 members, growers and exporters and input suppliers as well. We have a mission to transform Egypt into a significant, reliable supplier for horticulture crops worldwide. We offer several services to the local community and to the African countries as well. I'll be talking about services. We provide good agriculture practices and horticulture extension knowledge diffusion among local, African, and Middle East farmers. Dissemination of post-harvest knowledge and activities to growers and exporters to improve yield and quality as per the international standards and requirements. We provide as well exchange of international market needs and information related to export of fresh horticulture crops to our members. We also provide accredited international inspection services and quality standard certificates for growers, exporters, and importers locally and within the African and European markets. And on the left side, on the right side, you can see the accreditation. We are accredited by an American accreditation body, IAS, and we do provide several quality service certificates like PRC, Global Gap, and the whole list of the quality certificates. This service is provided to Egyptian and to the African countries as well. We provide good agriculture practices and horticulture extension knowledge for local and African and Middle East farmers. We also provide post-harvest knowledge and activities for growers and exporters. I would like to highlight this is because this is a very important service that we are providing our members currently, with accredited international inspection services and quality standard certificates for growers, exporters, and importers locally and within African and European markets. On the right side, you can see all the accreditation logos and the certificate, international quality certificates that we are providing to our local and African clients. We also provide cold storing services for horticulture crops at Cairo International Airport. And this is the first picture of the facility. Also in Luxor, this is what you were talking about, Karim, provide the agri community with packing and cold storage service for small farmers and growers in Upper Egypt. And this was the first international standards applied in pack houses adopted in Upper Egypt. That was launched 3 years ago or 4 years ago. And it is utilized mainly by small farmers and part of our members over there. Those laborers and those girls or those women were jobless. We trained them. We gave them the special know-how and technology in post-harvest, and we created jobs for them. Finally, we are lobbying with governmental bodies and officials for decision and laws regulating exports and production of horticulture crops. Considering the accumulative know-how and experience according to the international standards in growing horticulture crops for the past 25 years, HEA developed in 2013 a CSR policy, a corporate social responsibility policy, targeting small horticulture growers who cannot afford accessing for technical assistance in 12 governorates all over Egypt. And we focused only on 9 crops. We provided them with free of charge extension service, post-harvest service, and linking them with exporters directly to provide the exporter with the needed volume of fresh produce with the required quality specification. This is very important, the required quality specification. And finally, we help them to increase their income and create jobs for them. And this picture is for my team. And that's all for HEA. And I'll leave the floor for any question you might want to ask. Thank you, Karim. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much, Iman. It was very good presentation, and definitely you're helping a big sector of farmers in Egypt to get them more advanced towards exporting. We'll come back to you with questions. Right now we have a very successful case study, Mr. Helmi Isa, CEO of Nahdat Masr of Agro Industries. Mr. Helmi is the CEO of Nahdat Masr of Agro Industries, leading company in the field of producing and exporting fresh fruits and vegetables. He studied economics, and he comes from a business family, worked and secured supply, a safe product according to international standards. I think he had progressed a lot in his industry, and we would start with him to give us his success story as a case study. Thank you very much, and you can proceed, Mr. Hamid.
Thank you, Karim. Thank you, Iman. I have to thank you all for letting me part of this very interesting presentation. It's about the knowledge transfer, which is a method of sharing information, abilities, and which is helping us encourage our innovation and boost our efficiency. And throughout the years, the knowledge transfer has improved our abilities, improved our packing techniques. So I would have to say I'm honored really to be speaking in this session. Let me start with
yes, presentation, if possible, in full screen, and that would be great. Very fruitful presentation.
Yes. So in this presentation, I'm really going to be talking about our company benefits from the knowledge transfer throughout the export procedure. And I'm going to be focusing really on the UK and Africa, since this is the core of the session, even though there are plenty of other points, but I'll be focusing mainly on the UK and Africa. One of the things really I have to say is that the UK has helped us and Egypt a lot, especially at the beginning. It was the only importer of potatoes from Egypt, and it helped Egyptian exporters to improve on qualities, on packing houses. So basically, now a small introduction about the company. We are Nahdat Masr company, which was established back in 1979 as Isa Trade, and then it became a joint stock company later on. The company now is farming around 4,500 acres, all located in the desert. Specific products are for export. We are focused on 5 products: citrus, potatoes, onions, pomegranates, and grapes. And some other products are for the local market, like peaches, plums, guavas, and avocados. We are exporting most of our products to the UK, Africa, North America, the Far East, and the Middle East. Each market is different than the other. Each market has its requirements, and we have learned these via our foreign experts, via the supermarket technologists who used to come every year, help us on a yearly basis with new ideas, new varieties, etc. But today I'm going mainly to focus on 4 things which are very important to us, because there are several forms of knowledge transfer, but I'm going to focus on the new varieties, the certified qualities, the packaging and handling, and the market produce. Since we have had a lot of help from the UK and Africa on those 4 items. On the new varieties, since the company has a lot of connections with the supermarkets and the retailers in the UK and Africa, the company is importing a lot of seed potatoes from the UK, which is planted in its desert farms, as well as other small farms and medium farms. And all this production is geared for export towards the Middle East, the UK, Africa. And back in 2019, which is our newest project as a company, we started with avocados, and the company has welcomed 4 new varieties of avocado. And these varieties are currently under evaluation, but we have seen from the first year of production very good and promising results. The quality, and I would have to say the UK has helped the company and Egypt a lot on the quality assurance and the certification, especially if that you all know that the BRC is a British certification. And back in 2000, most of our UK receivers stipulated that we should be having the BRC for our packing houses. And I would say we were among the first companies to be granted the BRC. And then after that, we started with the SEDEX, the SEMETA, the Global Gap. And on a yearly basis, the supermarkets are increasing their requirements on certification, which is helping a lot the industry and the trade. And on the handling of produce and packaging, I would have to say, as I told you, back in '79, we were packing potatoes by hand. And the first supermarket from the UK advised us to buy a new packing line from the UK, and it was done back in '79. And in 2000, our UK client requested to change the basic cartons into industrial bins to save on the usage of the cardboard, and which is very important for us to keep the environment safe and healthy. So we immediately switched to cardboard, which saved us a lot really on the use of cartons. And in 2018, most of our citrus post-harvest cleaning material and fungicide is imported from South Africa. Finally, on the market of produce, which I think is one of our biggest achievement, since as a company we have very strong relation with South Africa. We are using the South African strong name really in the Far East market to market our products, and we're capitalizing on their powerful foothold there, especially in China, Hong Kong, and Malaysia. Not only that, but we have managed to really establish a brand, an all-year brand of citrus under one brand from Egypt and South Africa. to be marketed 12 months a year with citrus fruits from both countries, which actually needed a lot of help from the South Africans on the agronomical aspects in order to meet the Chinese market needs, which are very difficult. And they have also introduced us with 4 new citrus varieties that are all under trial now, all brought from South Africa to Egypt. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Helmi. Thank you very much. It was a very good presentation, and to transparent to all the other companies in Egypt, and pass it as a good experience. We hope that you can collaborate with the UK side for the benefits of the industry. We have some inquiries and some questions. I would like to start with Dr. Nicola. She has a very good experience in this field, and I hope that she can cover up this point. As you can see, Egypt is facing challenges and limited resources of water in the coming years. This is beside the insufficient production of many agricultural products. And it might be the same scenario in other nations in Africa. So how do you think this can be supported if we pass the knowledge and transfer of knowledge from UK as a very well experienced in this field, how we can help with management techniques for covering this point in the future? In this regard, I would like you to highlight on this. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and a very, very key question. I think there's 2 main ways that are exciting for the future. The first has to be technology, as we can gauge how crops are going using remote sensing, whether that's through satellite imagery or through drones. And a lot of this data is actually available already online. And we can start to get a grounding of what is growing well, where there are challenging regions, and start to focus on why those areas are challenged. And of course, we know one of the big challenges globally for agricultural production is declining soil health. And therefore, I think any nation has to look to prioritising the health of their soil, which is heavily influenced by how we cultivate and manage our soils. And where we've been very reliant on the plough, whether that is through mechanised responses or through more traditional plough applications, we have to think about, are there more appropriate ways, such as conservation agriculture techniques, that can be adopted to avoid unnecessary oxidization of carbon in soils. We need to think about adding carbon into soils, and we need to make sure that our soils are not left vulnerable to extreme wet, to extreme dry, to heating. And therefore we need to create agricultural systems or horticultural systems that protect our soils. Our soils are our lifeblood. And whether that is growing bicropping systems or different crop management systems or whatever it is, everything has to start from the ground. And if we don't get that right, we're never going to have success. So we need ways that we can understand where the challenges are across the regions or countries that we're looking at. And there's some fantastic projects out there using satellite imagery to focus microfinance for farmers, where they can see crops are planted and are growing, and therefore further investment can be given into those areas, and to make sure that agriculture can prosper from the, and it does come from the soil upwards. And on top of that, we need innovative agricultural systems. We have got caught in this mindset of monocropping, of looking for maximizing yield and believing that maximum yield always leads to maximum profitability. And profitability is about more than single crop margins. It is about your future, your sustainability. And therefore, we need to think in longer scales, with longer scales of planning, to make sure that we develop sustainable cropping systems. So it's a mixture of technology and innovative agricultural solutions, with planning with soils at the heart.
Very well, very well. Just very briefly, do you think UK can support and provide the needful assistance in terms of technology, in terms of management, to safeguard Egypt to pass the coming years of the challenges of limited water resources?
Yeah, I think, I mean, water resources, as we see sensors that can be used to more accurately apply water where it's needed most, or where it's appropriate to apply it, that's more appropriate way to say it. And as we can improve application technology, which is a really key factor, you know, so we reduce evapotranspiration loss, minimize soil damage through water application. And all those factors are being worked upon. The UK is itself facing water challenges, and our farmers are very aware of, we don't want to replicate a Californian model of salinity and loss of land due to overexploitation and poor management. And therefore, we need to put into practice regimes that make sure that we are using the resource efficiently, that we have the best technology to make it work. And that doesn't have to be, you know, it doesn't have to be every farm having a sensor. It could be that we understand how different farms react in conditions, and you have a mobile app that tells people when you're likely to end in deficit, rather than just saying, right, we'll flood irrigate this today, or whatever the technique is, to make sure that we use water efficiently, because inefficient water use is just so wrong in so many ways.
Very well. Thank you, Nicola. You've been very, very supportive with your precious and professional views and researches. We would like to have the benefit in the future, definitely, in this regard. We'll go for another question to Iman Kamil. And I have a question here from Dr. John, Professor John Wibberley. Iman, if you're still with us here. I would like, Dr. John is requesting or asking about to know about the Farmers Group, Farmers Association operation in Egypt, especially those voluntarily started by the farmers themselves. If you can explain more how you've started this, how the Farmers Association are successful, how sustainable this can serve the agriculture industry. Thank you.
Well, Karim, I will be talking about our experience in three main governorates in Egypt, Menia, Bani Suef, and Luxor. During our work in those three governorates, giving extension service to our members and through several funds from USAID and the GIZ and the EU funds in general, we were requested to help the small growers. And during this process, we found in the three governorates that they are fragmented, but physically they are within the same geographical area. So we started introducing to them, and every group, by the way, they are specialized in one crop. And for example, I'll give you an example from Bani Suef. We have like 400 small, very small farmers growing chili pepper. And they were not under an umbrella, an NGO. They were under a cooperative related to the Ministry of Agriculture. and they were not getting enough extension service. They were only using this cooperative to get pesticides, to get fertilizers, subsidized fertilizers, and that's it. And with no help at all on the level of agronomy or on the level of post-harvest, or linking them after taking the right knowledge to the exporter. That was not available at all. So we started sharing our experience in developing NGO, whether admin work, because it requires a lot of admin work, connecting them with the Ministry of Social Solidarity in order for them to be an official NGO. And we started teaching them how we became HEA during the whole past 25 years. This is on the admin side. And on the technical side, the board of directors decided like 10 years ago to provide those unfortunate NGOs with free extension service as a pilot project. Then it was very successful. So they, in 2013, they decided to cascade the experience to several associations, and we started spreading the service on the admin side and on the technical side to all the most of the 12 governorates in Egypt, with free extension service, free post-harvest service, free admin work, even helping them to connect with bodies regulating the and the exporting, like a body called NSFA, which is similar to the FDA in the States. So we help them to be another HEA, but definitely it will take them years and years to reach this level. But we're supporting them as we speak in those governorates. So this is our experience. And of course, after giving them the technical assistance, up to the international standards, because it's very complicated, we received demands to buy directly from the exporters, which are our members, to buy directly from those new NGOs. One of them is, for example, Sharif Ataya. He's one of our members who adopted this concept as an exporter in Egypt, and he exports a lot of horticulture crop to UK, and he believes in the concept. So he supported those baby, let me call them baby NGOs, and started to introduce the contract farming for them and breaking the gap that was used by the middleman. And we are doing great now with those small NGOs. So this is in a nutshell what we were doing for a small association, how to group them on the admin and on the technical side.
It's very challenging, and having the farmers like small nurseries till you put them into the right startup. Thank you, Iman, very much. We have a participant that is sharing or asking for a word, and we can let her speak. Sally Basha, if you would like to unmute and come on with your question, please.
Yes, I'm just, can you hear me, right?
Yes.
Okay, I'm just asking if the presentations will be shared with us, as I need to take notes or something like this. So if the presentations will be shared, this will be really good for us.
If you send us an email, we'll try to give you all the details required.
Okay, thank you.
Following this event, we will share the recording and all presentations with you via email.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
I would like to go back to Roger. Roger Vickers from the PGRO. We are having a very good experienced professional here in the field of pulses. Pulses is considered as the second main food in the African continent, in the Egyptian market. So If we're talking, the first thing is wheat, and then we're talking like beans for the Egyptian market. It's consumed between 700 to 1 million metric ton per year. Egypt production is about like 50 to 100, 200,000 metric ton maximum after the support of Ministry of Agriculture with new seedings. As Dr. Nicola already highlighted, in Malawi and Cameroon, they have supported beans and lupins planting. So do you think, Roger, that Egypt can do like economical plantation with considering price-wise, because Egyptian beans are very expensive. It's like triple the price of the imported beans, sometimes 4 times the price. So do you think we can reach like support from the research center with the Ministry of Agriculture, or even with a new model as a private sector to be a mirror of PGRO in Egypt, support farmers or the nursing farmers like here, that would have better yields and a very economical production price-wise of beans? If you please, Roger.
No, I wouldn't presuppose to tell Egyptian growers how to produce their crop.
Definitely.
We don't have that experience. But also, I don't have a sufficient in-depth knowledge of the reasons why the Egyptian crop should be so expensive. It may be, of course, that in Egypt you have the right climate to produce much more exciting crops like apricots or something like this, for which the value to the growers is usually more profitable than the humble bean. And if a commodity production is to be profitable for growers, indeed it does need to be a good yield and a good economic return for them. They scratching about trying to produce sub-economic yields is really an option, and probably a reason why many growers would grow something more profitable. The only way, in my opinion, to understand what is holding back growers is to talk to them, to understand what their concerns are, what their difficulties might be in production, where their priorities lie, and then to start to understand what the research priorities are on an Egyptian level. And as I said, far-sighted growers in the UK many decades ago decided to help themselves, and we continue to do that in their wake, if you like. And I don't see why you shouldn't be able to set that sort of system up in Egypt. It may be that you need a little government help to get it off the ground, perhaps some seed money to establish an organisation, or it might only start with 1 or 2 people funded directly by either government, local authorities, or indeed some larger farming organisations. Perhaps it could be a couple of agronomists to start the programme. But I don't see why it wouldn't work and couldn't work. Without asking the key questions and without understanding what's going on the ground, however, I wouldn't know what the solution is to increasing yields in Egypt.
Very well. It's just the idea of getting the experience from the PGRO as well specialized in the pulses field. That's one major food supply to the Egyptian population and to the African population, 1.2 billion all over total figure of population.
Karim,
thank you, Roger.
I would suspect, Karim, if I might just follow up, that many of the production issues will be the same. There will be yield limiting factors such as pests, disease, nutrition, water availability, etc. It's just understanding what are the main limiting factors and trying to address solutions to those.
Definitely. Thank you, Roger. We have a question here, if you allow me to get the chat, and it's for for Helmi, Mr. Helmi Isa. There are 2 questions actually. First one is from Marwan Sultan, and he's asking the following. I'm very interested to figure out how much the UK-Egypt Association Agreement can facilitate the knowledge of transfer in agriculture industry. Can Mr. Isa elaborate more on how the agreement helped the increase of exports to the UK? And then we have another question, so we'll start with this one. Go ahead, please.
Well, I think Egypt is going to be benefiting a lot from the Brexit. I think our exports to the UK are going to increase, and I can see it this year on the citrus especially. We are doing much more than last year.
All right, that's
question because I cannot see the question, so
yeah, it comes and covers to the answer. If you see any other sides that would support the increase of exports to the UK, but I think you covered this question by the answer of the Brexit. That would help definitely with difficulties coming and logistics into the scenario between UK and Europe, as we saw in the news, we saw on the BBC, how trucks have been stuck there for weeks and weeks. I think Egypt might have a good chance, especially with doing the exports, and it can help increasing it. We have another question, Helmi, here. The question says, do you think your approach of being specialized in a few agriculture products is better, or having a large variety is better to help hedge your financials? I think he's asking, the Mr. Mohammed Al-Sharif is asking this question like economical planting from your point of view.
Well, let me tell you something. If we are talking, we're specialized in 5 products, but under each product, there are several varieties. Like under citrus, we're producing 7 different types of citrus: oranges, grapefruits, mandarins, easy peelers. So each variety has sub-varieties. So in total, we are talking about 12 or 14 different items. And this helps a lot. We are specialized in 15 items. Some of them are for the local market, some of them are for export, which is very important for us, so that sometimes citrus is a disaster, so potatoes would be better. So it's always good to diversify and have a lot of products, but you have to take it step by step. So we started only with potatoes, and then we introduced citrus after that. So we took it gradually.
Very well, very well. We have another question from Mohammed Afi, I think so. It might be interesting that you are the one that you can give us another answer for this question, since it's related to maybe to the Egyptian market in agriculture sector. The question says, what are the supply chain challenges in the agriculture sector in Egypt that would need knowledge transfer to solve?
Well, this is a very tough question, I have to say, because challenges in Egypt are a lot. And I have to say, it's not only for export, but for the local market. If you consider that Egypt is ranked among the highest in waste of agriculture products for the local market, we're wasting roughly 30% of agriculture product throughout the process from the farm to the local market. And this is something that needs to be changed 100%. Because with the problems that we are facing with water, the problems we are facing with production, we cannot afford this waste anymore. So I think this is the biggest challenge, is to reduce the waste percentage from the agriculture sector in Egypt. And if we do that, I think we can save a lot on water, save a lot on energy, and save a lot on foreign currency. If you consider that we're the biggest importer of wheat, and our loss on wheat, for instance, is more than 20%. So the supply chain in Egypt locally has to change 180 degrees, starting from the field to the market or from the field to fork, like M&S, I have to say. We have to change everything in this.
There is another question, might be interesting as well, from Mr. Muhammad Afiaz. He says, is the circular economy being considered as possible solution to maximize resource usage, or still out of scope? Do you think the circular economy would be the solution for the resource usage, maximize the resource usage?
In agriculture?
In agriculture, of course, and in the industry, the government is trying to support this circular economy as well. Do you think, from your point of view, this would be a way to maximize the resource usage?
I think it's too early to judge it now.
Yeah. Well, the Egyptian government is doing a lot of efforts, and they're doing the maximize they can for projects in this field, like Rif Al Masri, like in the private sector, like Iman Kamil is doing with here. We have a question here that might be back to Iman.
Pick up on the circular economy piece.
Yes.
Again. Yeah, I think there are possibilities there. I agree that it poses challenges, but if we're going to have efficiencies, we need to look to the circular economy. We need to maximise utilisation of waste, because one sector's waste is another sector's feedstock. And we've got scoping projects for private companies in further down Africa, looking at this, looking at options for protected cropping, so that you maintain quality of production. And they're working on CO2 enhancements, controlled environments to make sure that you can have year-round production. And on UK projects, we're currently working with some of the protected cropping environments linked to anaerobic digestion, linked to animal production, and looking at how everything ties together to try and maximise productivity. And whilst it might seem a step too far, I think it comes back to that heart is always the soil. And whilst we can do protected cropping, but we have to look after all states of agriculture to make it happen and remember them all in one in our planning. Sorry, thank you.
You're welcome. I think it's always, as for me, it comes from Egypt, and as having a business running from Egypt as an exporter in the field of pulses, seeds, grains, and how we can get the benefit from UK as well experience in the field of agriculture. It's the oldest industry for a human being. I see UK is just an island, and maximizing the farming industry and the yields that coming out from wheat, oil seeds, pulses. It's just so wonderful that we would like to enhance the experience and translate it into physical land in Egypt once again. Thank you, Dr. Nicola, very much. Thank you. After all, I think we're almost done with our questions, and I would like to thank all participants. I would like to thank the organizers once again, and I would pass the word to Iman Sharif at this point. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Karim. Thank you very much. And I thank the whole all participants in the meeting, and especially our speakers, especially, well, if I would start with the PGRO and HEA, these organizations show us the strength of the industry in the country. We at the Chamber try to provide a window on what's going on in this industry in Egypt, and vice versa in the UK, so we can facilitate the bilateral relationship. In this specific incident, we are trying to facilitate trilateral relationship, having Africa in general, put Africa in mind. So I think what, of course, Helmi gave us the sort of practical way of handling this trilateral relationship, being an exporter and importer with the UK, and the same with Africa, and having working with Africa in different various fields. And Nicola, you've given us a great insight in the future, which we, having lived in the UK for a long time, I know exactly how it is to put systems and implement it, especially in the question of circular economy. You put it very nicely and very clearly that the waste of one industry would be the gains of another industry. So we're hoping to get in touch with you again, all of you, and to form these connections. And for another, hoping to see you all in another roundtable. Thank you, Karim, very much for brilliantly moderating this session.
Thank you very much, Iman. Thank you, everyone. All the best. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.